Before there were worlds, there was a pause. A half-formed heartbeat caught between creation and collapse. Something tried to rise there once, but the universe had other plans. Now all that remains is a ghost of that attempt, a quiet ring of memory circling the sun like regret that never left. Between Mars and Jupiter, there's a quiet wreckage field, a ring of broken dreams that never became a planet. Billions of fragments scattered across a torus-shaped stretch of space, drifting in slow chaos. That's the asteroid belt, the solar system's unfinished chapter.
We're approached by Chris Russell, who is trying to put together a proposal to go to the main asteroid belt and to visit Ceres and Vesta, and we were involved in the proposal writing.
It isn't a dense traffic jam, like movies make it seem. It's mostly emptiness. You could fly through it for weeks and never see a rock. The biggest piece, Ceres, is barely 1,000 kilometers wide, the only one large enough to be called a dwarf planet. The rest are jagged survivors of 4 billion years of violent collisions, each scar telling the story of something that almost was. Long ago, this region tried to form a planet. Dust gathered, stones merged, and gravity started its delicate pull. But Jupiter, with its enormous weight, ruined the plan. Its gravity tugged too hard, stirring the neighborhood into chaos. What could have been one world shattered into millions. Over 99% of the mass disappeared in the solar system's first 100 million years, tossed away by impacts and ejections. What's left now is the wreckage of that failure, still being chipped apart and thrown into new orbits by Jupiter's invisible hand. When astronomers mapped the sizes of these asteroids, they noticed something strange. Not a smooth curve of big to small, but a wavy pattern, like ripples frozen in time. Each dip marks an age of destruction, a period when collisions reshaped the belt. Some groups, families they call them, still travel together, the children of ancient catastrophes. The Vesta family, the Flora clan, the Coronis cluster, fragments that once were single bodies torn apart by impacts so powerful they'd melt rock. Even today, new families keep appearing, proving the belt hasn't gone silent. The Datura cluster, barely 500,000 years old, is one of the youngest, fresh dust still glimmering in sunlight. This place runs on a strange balance, destruction feeding creation. Big asteroids crash, splinter into smaller ones, which drift away under sunlight's faint push, the Yarkovsky effect, until they hit gravitational resonances that fling them toward the inner planets. That's how pieces of the belt end up on Earth as meteorites. Every bright streak across our sky is a tiny messenger from this broken ring, another bit of proof that the belt never really stops moving. Scientists have tried to model all of it, how often things collide, how much energy it takes to break a body apart, how the fragments drift and vanish. Small asteroids are dominated by their own strength, large ones by gravity's pull trying to hold them together. Between those extremes, the rules shift. Over time, the smaller ones reach a kind of equilibrium. New ones appear as fast as others die. But the large bodies are ancient, nearly unchanged since the beginning. They're fossils of the solar system's first construction attempts. Not every family stays visible. Over eons, orbits stretch and blur until the connections fade. Ghost families, they're called. Their fragments wander alone, lost records of impacts that shaped everything we see. The dust they shed builds the zodiacal light, that faint glow you see along the night's ecliptic, sunlight bouncing off what's left of long-dead worlds. Even now, the belt quietly sheds fragments into space. But scientists wanted to know how fast that fading really was. Scientists didn't stumble on this fading by chance. They measured it, one lost fragment at a time. Deep in the numbers, astronomer Julio Fernandez and his team found the rhythm of the belt's slow disappearance. They built digital worlds where every asteroid collided, shattered, and drifted again, tracking the invisible balance between destruction and escape. The math told a quiet truth. The belt loses about 0.0088% of its mass every million years. It sounds trivial, but stretched across billions of years, it's the difference between a sky full of wreckage and the thin, ghostly ring we see today. Every impact sends debris on two journeys. A small share, About a fifth becomes larger fragments, broken asteroids that wander until gravity or luck pulls them toward the inner planets. Some of them will one day light our skies, burning out as meteor trails before they ever touch the ground. The rest, the other 80%, turns to dust so fine that sunlight itself becomes the executioner. Each particle feels the faint drag of light, spiraling slowly toward the sun under the pointing Robertson effect. It's that same dust that creates the zodiacal glow, that soft shimmer you sometimes catch at dawn or dusk, the last glint of dead worlds dissolving into sunlight. All of it moves to a hidden rhythm, one set long ago by the giant that guards the belt. If the asteroid belt has a sculptor, it's Jupiter, the giant that never lets anything stay still. Its gravity doesn't just pull, it orchestrates. Every rock in that region feels its rhythm, a deep gravitational drumbeat that keeps the belt off balance. Where Jupiter's orbit syncs with an asteroid's, chaos begins. Those are the resonant zones, the gravitational riptides that carve out the Kirkwood gaps, slicing through what could have been a continuous sea of debris. Caught in those invisible traps, asteroids start to drift, their paths wobbling until they're flung away, some out toward the void, others inward, on collision courses with worlds like ours. This slow choreography of destruction isn't random. It's the echo of an ancient migration, when Jupiter and Saturn themselves shifted their orbits, sweeping their resonances across the early solar system like tidal waves. The Nice model calls it one of the great rearrangements, a time when planets traded places and the asteroid belt was torn apart in the crossfire. What remains is the aftermath, a quiet hum of instability that still ripples through the belt. The belt endures, but never at peace, still haunted by the pull of the giant that shaped it, and still losing pieces to the same invisible hand that built its chaos. Long before Earth was calm enough to cradle oceans or whisper life into existence, the sky was violent. The asteroid belt then was no thin, scattered ring. It was heavy, alive with collisions, a maelstrom of rock and dust grinding itself down. There was nearly half again as much material as there is now, an overcrowded graveyard that hadn't yet learned silence. Every impact sent ripples through the solar system, fragments flying inward like cosmic bullets. For millions of years, Earth and the Moon took the brunt of it. You can still read that story in the scars. The lunar highlands, those pale, cratered fields, are a fossil record of that storm. Each crater marks a messenger from the belt's early chaos, a time when space was thick with debris and everything that moved was in danger. Earth took the same punishment, though our planet healed its wounds with time. Erosion and tectonics erased the evidence, but not the history. Scientists now trace the rhythm of those early impacts back to the asteroid belt's own decline, a slow, measurable fading that perfectly mirrors the drop in bombardment carved into the Moon's face and buried in the oldest terrestrial rocks. The link between the belt's depletion and Earth's transformation isn't coincidence. As Jupiter and Saturn's gravitational pull continued to stir the belt, fragments kept breaking loose, crossing paths with the inner planets. The younger solar system was essentially a shooting gallery, and Earth was still learning to survive it. But as the belt began to thin, as those chaotic resonances cleared more and more material, the impacts started to slow. The rain of destruction became a drizzle. Each passing million years brought a little more peace, a little more time for stability to take hold. That slowdown changed everything. When fewer asteroids struck, oceans could linger without being boiled away. The atmosphere could build rather than burn off. Volcanoes still raged, and continents were still molten dreams, but the rhythm of annihilation had eased just enough for chemistry to start making promises. The belt's decline wasn't just an astronomical curiosity, it was a turning point in planetary destiny. If those resonances had been stronger, if Jupiter's orbit had shifted slightly differently, the bombardment might have lasted longer, delaying the calm that life needed to form. Earth's timeline is tied to the asteroid belt's exhaustion, to the moment when chaos finally began to run out of energy. Each collision was both an end and a beginning, shaping the surfaces of worlds and writing the chemistry that would one day become life. The bombardment that sculpted our world came from this relentless erosion, each impact both destructive and creative, mixing elements, resetting chemistry, deepening the possibilities for life. It's strange to think that life might owe its existence to the same violence that once threatened it. But that's how the solar system works. Through attrition and survival, through slow balances that take eons to find. The belt's fading wasn't abrupt, it was a gradual unspooling of tension, a long exhale after a billion years of chaos. The moon, forever exposed, still remembers that story in perfect detail. Earth remembers it differently. In silence, in oceans that could finally stay liquid, in the rare chance for biology to begin writing its own version of survival. So when we look at the asteroid belt now, a fragile ring of scattered worlds, softly glowing with dust, we're not just looking at a ruin. We're looking at the quiet that made everything else possible. The belt's slow death was Earth's first mercy. It gave the planet time to breathe, time to cool, time to dream. Every grain of zodiacal light drifting across the sky tonight is a whisper from that turning point. The moment when destruction slowed just enough for creation to take hold. We call it debris, but it's really a memory, a record of how fragile order can be. Every streak across the night sky, every grain of dust glowing at dawn, is the echo of a world that almost was. Maybe that's the truth of it, that creation never ends cleanly, it just learns how to live with what it couldn't finish.